If you're new to painting, I recommend starting with gouache paint as it's a good option for beginners and you can get beautiful results with its dazzling colors. Gouache is water-based, so you don't need to buy any other medium to work with it. And it could be reactivated by adding some water. That means you can make changes on some areas even after drying. Isn't that nice? Working with gouache might be my new obsession. That doesn't mean I'm professional. I'm just showing you what I experienced in this piece of drawing, and I wanted to share with you what I learned from my mistakes. And I can tell you, knowing these mistakes in advance is a good start for everyone. I usually draw using pencils, but I wanted to try different mediums this year, and I'm loving playing with gouache. And I can safely say I'll be making more videos working with gouache because regardless of what the outcome is, I'm enjoying the process. Without further ado, let's start with the first mistake I made, which is working from dark to light value. Now, this in itself is not a problem because it depends on what you're working on. I'm working on one object here, which is this pink lily. I wanted the edges of the petals to be lighter than the middle. So I thought it is better to start from the middle with darker value and lighten the edges. But I should have stopped after I used water to lighten the edges, which wasn't bad. But did I stop there? Absolutely not. I insisted on making it lighter. So I mixed some of this beautiful color with white and added the new shade to the edges. And when I didn't like the result because it was lighter than I wanted, I added more darker pink. So I think it would have been better if I applied some water before applying the colors. That would maybe give me the light value I needed to start with. And then add more paint in the middle where I need the color to be deeper. But instead, I kept adding the dark value whenever it dries because guess what? When working with gouache, you'll understand that darker value will dry to be lighter. And whenever it dries, I feel that I need more, which leads to having multiple layers, and that made it look far from what I aimed for, which is mistake number two, overworking your painting. The first thing to consider here is to paint with few brush strokes. Try to paint without going back again to the same area, which could cause an uneven coverage and make the texture thicker. And that's exactly what happened with me. As you can see, the fact that I started with thick consistency didn't help me. I kept applying more paint, and the more layers, the more it gets messier, especially in the center of the lily. So adding too much paint on one area can lead to a heavy layer that will take more time to dry and will possibly look unpleasant to the eye. Just look at what I'm doing here. I should ask myself, why? Seriously. When I watch this video right now, I think this was just fine. Why did I keep adding this paint? It's as if I made a promise to finish all of it on this paper. I was doing it over and over. I couldn't count how many layers I added. And now I'm adding the light color again. Well, you know what they say, the more the merrier. Thankfully, the papers of this sketchbook were tolerant of my deeds. After a long, rainy winter on the upper part, I decided to move to the lower part, which includes the buds, stem, and leaf. I used reference photos before starting this drawing, and I found so many colors of lilies, but I always prefer this color. Maybe I couldn't catch the same value of the vibrant and fluorescent pink color I saw in photos, but still, I consider it a good experience. And I'm sure the more I try and the more I practice, the more understanding of colors and values of paint I'll get. Now, in the reference photos, the middle of the lily was light green with a bit of yellow at the edges. I applied the yellow first, then I added some green, but it was dark. I tried to save it, but apparently I didn't let the paint dry completely, which is the third mistake. I added some lighter green on top of the dark while it was still wet. It started to look messy because the light green paint wasn't thick, so the water made the contour lines of the center smudged and kind of blurred. So, as an attempt to fix the problem, I tried to lift the lightest layer and reapply the light green mixed with yellow. But apparently, the fact that I put new paint on still wet layer made it hard to have a nice finish. So what we need to do is to be patient and let the paint dry completely before adding anything on it. I liked what I'm doing here with the leaf. I lifted some paint in the middle with a wet brush and then I let it dry completely before adding those green lines. So these were the three main mistakes I made working on this sketchbook page. So see you soon on another video.